I am walking along the hallway on my way to my study to prepare for this afternoon's lessons when I hear someone call out softly behind me. Lady Rosencrantz? I turn to find a tall, mysterious-looking man bowing in my direction. Good day, sir. I believe you have the advantage over me. My name is Harris, personal servant of Prince Orleus. A pleasure. He straightens his posture while looking at me. His eyes narrow ever so slightly as he smiles. I have the honor of carrying to you a message from His Highness. That's unusual. Let's hear it. Prince Orleus sends you his warmest regards and told me to ask if you would like to have some tea with him at the pavilion in the palace garden. An invitation to afternoon tea from Prince Orleus? I cannot say I foresaw this coming, in this or any other lifetime. Nonetheless, the warm regards seem almost ominous. Just as he told me. That's unexpectedly social of His Highness. Harris smiles, but makes no reply. Please let the prince know I should be glad to take up his invitation. His Highness will be delighted. Kindly come with me. I shall show you the way to the pavilion, where His Highness is waiting for you. You mean now? Indeed. Placing a gentle but firm hand on my shoulder, Harris steers me down the hallway in the direction of the garden. I thought you said in the afternoon. It is already past midday, Lady Rosencrantz. Technically, this is afternoon, but isn't it a little early for afternoon tea? I think you will find that His Highness is not one to fuss about this sort of thing. Harris pushes open a door, and I squint as I am overwhelmed by the sudden glare of the midday sun. Nor for this meeting will you be. Sunlight dances on the soft green meadow and sparkling fountains of the sprawling palace garden. Cool breeze meanders through the air, making the leafy branches of the trees rustle and stir. At the center of the garden, sitting in the shade of the white pavilion, I see the figure of Prince Orleus. Orleus. Observing us, hands neatly folded on his crossed legs. With not a single kettle, tray, or cup in sight. You said the princess invited me for tea, right? No, I said His Highness told me to tell you that he is inviting you for tea. A subtle but crucial distinction. I quite agree. My mouth suddenly dry, I found myself walking slowly towards the pavilion. There's no option but to press ahead, with what Harris blocking the exit behind me, and oh my God, Orleus fixing that cold, sharp gaze of his on me. You're here at last. Good afternoon, Your Highness. Well, Harris, get the blades, will you? At once, Your Highness. Blades. 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 Harris places two gleaming steel swords on the table before Prince Orleus, who buckles one onto his belt without taking his eye away from mine. What do you intend to do with that sword? Fight. That's what people usually do with swords. Fight? Who are you fighting? You? Me? His Highness has challenged you to a duel, Lady Rosencrantz. I looked from one man to the other, more than half expecting them to burst out laughing in my face at any moment, but the faces of the duo are deadly earnest. I really am being challenged to a duel with Prince Orleus, using swords of pure steel. What should I do? Should I accept or decline? Probably accept. Oh, combat. I lay my hands on the hilt of the remaining sword. As I do so, I can feel Prince Orleus's eyes on me, watching me with approval. Physical combat has never been my forte, but if that is the prince's fancy, then I am determined to give him my best and hope that it will be good enough. Are you sure about this, Your Highness? A pleading note creeps into my voice as I make a last frantic attempt to dissuade him. Yes. Enough talking. En garde. Good music. That is all the warning I received before Prince Orleus lunges at my person in a whirlwind of shining steel. Taken by surprise, I barely managed to bring my sword up in time to parry the volley of incoming blows. Step by step, the prince forces me backwards, out of the pavilion and onto the meadow beyond. Shing! Combat success. The sword makes a silver crescent in the air as it arcs down toward my head. I bring my own blade up, angled slightly away. Flash. My arms buckle under the impact, but at least, my head is safe. Almost immediately the sword returns, this time thrusting straight towards my heart. I pirouette away, heart pounding wildly as I hear the blade pierce the empty air where I had only been a breath ago. Swish! Much more luck than skill, I am able to fend off most of the attacks and dodge the remaining ones that slip through my guard. I see a flicker of amusement in Prince Orleus's eyes. Orleus. I cannot pronounce his name. That's not a great sign for me. Suddenly, the tempo of his attacks increased tenfold. Does he have any sense of doing things in moderation? There is no in-between with him. Another series of unfaltering strikes. Clash. Sweat is pouring down my forehead, stinging my eyes. I'm getting tired quickly while the prince is barely even winded. I have to end this quickly. Gritting my teeth, I push away the next blow and dart forward, sword outstretched, determined to bring down my opponent before he exhausts me completely. Oh. I see a grin bordering on a sneer as if to mock me. Then there's a blur of movement. I stagger as something slams into me with brute force. The next thing I know, I'm lying flat on my back in the grass, looking up at the blue sky and the white fluffy clouds, breathing heavily. Heavily. And Prince Orleus is holding his sword down against my neck, its half-sharpened tip pressing into my skin ever so precisely. From my position, I could see the prince's firm grip on his sword and a coldness that seems to have been ingrained in his eyes, unbefitting for a beauty such as him. A few of the strands of hair gracefully trace the shape of his face, and the scent of western flowers envelops me once again. He hasn't even broken a sweat in defeating me. A touch to Prince Orleus. A point? I already forgot what it said. The best option probably would have been throwing the sword at his head and retreating. The action might not have been the most glorious thing to do, but it wasn't as if the prince was treating me with extraordinary politeness either. Trying to catch my breath, I close my eyes and calm my mind, feeling a bit annoyed and confused at the same time. Why are you doing this? Prince Orleus. Should I just call him Aura? Prince Aura. Pauses for a moment, thinking. For some reason, I don't expect him to give me a serious reply. I simply wish to make my own assessment of you. Harris helps me to my feet, brushing away the dirt and grass on my clothes. You may be my tutor, but you are so only by the grace of Lord Regent. I have yet to determine for myself what your true worth is. Harris show Rosencreuz back to her room. Orleus looks away, having lost all interest in me at the drop of a hat. This way, please. Oh. After this rock star, I'm going to get some water. Worn out with no energy for further objections, I allow him to lead me back into the palace. We make our way to the study side by side in silence. Here we are, Lady Rosencreuz. If there is nothing else, I shall return to His Highness. A minute? What is it? Did you know? I beg your pardon? Did you know that Prince Orleus had in mind when you brought me to the garden? Harris looks away, stroking his chin while wearing a contemplative expression. His Highness is right. If you want to survive and prosper in a place as interesting as is it Faux-Frostrois? Palace. You really should try to improve your swordplay. If you're interested in learning the little tricks of the art that Marshal Garion believes himself to be honorable to impart, you can usually find me wandering the palace garden. Oh, excuse me, you're offering to teach me? Evidently. My lips pursued. On instinct, I get the feeling this man has been with Prince Orleus for a long time. Even his speech resembled the prince's. Your reasons? Harris pauses to observe me before his eyes narrow and his lips tug into a mysterious smile. Self-interest, mainly. It'd be fun to see whether you can meet Prince Orleus's expectations. With that, he walks away, leaving me staring into space and stunned. The answer was about as helpful as having not answered at all. Can't seem to understand the youngest prince, nor his servants. Lily can now take classes to learn leadership skills. Grimoire, I think. Knock, knock. I look from my notes where I had been scribbling few formulae. Come in. The door to my study opens and a familiar figure emerges, despite standing straight and still looking immaculate. I can't help but notice his slightly furrowed brows. Lady Rosencreuz, and my apologies for disturbing you. Not at all. Something the matter? While His Excellency the Lord Regent is aware you're still adjusting to life at court, he would like to request your aid in addressing certain complaints. Complaints? Raphael? Yeah, Raphael. Pauses a bit, clearly conflicted. In the days of the late king, Lady Rosencreuz, he used to travel the lands to help the citizens with their needs. Natural disasters, beasts and bandits, plagues, all matter of things, really. Of course, the princes have been doing their best to keep up with their duties. However, during the past 12 moon cycles, I'm afraid more and more complaints have piled up. The Lord Regent requests you aid our princess in said duties, Lady Rosencreuz. We are aware it might be a lot to... That's fine. Well, Raphael must be relieved at my approval. He also seems somewhat surprised. Is it? I'm an alchemist of the High Council. While I was summoned here to tutor the princes, it's our foremost duty to help each country advance and prosper. I would be happy if my alchemy can be in even the slightest help. Beauty. The master of coins smiles and find myself smiling back. Thank you, Lady Rosencruz. Wherever you need funding for your work, please don't hesitate to find me. I will also be taking inventory and keeping track of each state's income. I hope the information will be of use for you. Missions are now okay. He's different. Okay. 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 Oh, 130. Missions. Strange rumors have reached the palace of farmers shining themselves inside their house during the day and no work. Okay. Oh. Just a second. I should probably do... What is this? Oh, leadership. I guess we could do leadership. Intelligence. Etiquette. Beauty. Okay. You know what? I need to... 10. Okay. I don't need combat for a little bit. I do need intelligence though. Okay, leadership. Alright. Okay. Oh. We need more intelligence. I believe. Yeah. Okay. Next time we'll do that thing. 65. The high art of alchemy is subtle and perilous, the use of which requires utmost attentiveness and care. I look down to see what effect my words are having on my students. Serene is keeping his eyes fixed on me, calm and inscrutable as ever. He might be seriously reflecting on the meaning of what I say, or equally likely trying to make up his mind on what to have for dinner. But like same though. Same. He is probably seriously reflecting. He is Siren, after all. Unlike Nazir beams at me and offers a thumbs up. Here. He bends back over his desk, appearing to be busy taking notes, perhaps not realizing I can clearly see he is sketching a portrait of me. Orleus is observing me keenly, but I have a feeling that he is measuring up. Measuring up is me rather than what I'm saying. I sigh before John. Magic, as you know, comprises 6 elements, or 3 pairs of complementary counterparts: fire and water, wood and wind, light and dark. Nazir interrupts me by yawning loudly, and then immediately covers his mouth, looking abashed. Normally, a magic user can use 1 or 2, rarely 3, different elements of magic. Members of the Rosencruz family can use all 6, I believe. That's right, it is our rather unusual attribute. To an alchemist, the 2 most important elements of magic are fire and water, which is these 2. uses wind. No. This is light and wood. So, whatever. That's magic. That's because fire represents the power of manifestation. It is only magic capable of forcing the essence of an object to assume shape. Water represents the power of alternation. Using it on an object can cause its essence to change. Water without fire is pure chaos, a state of unending flux. Fire without water is pure order, the original essence rigidly emphasized and magnified. Only fire and water used together allow an object to change from one stable state to another. This is the aim and purpose of alchemy. Fascinating. Absolutely. However, neither my brothers nor I can use fire and water magics. Nor can most alchemists. There is, of course, a way to get around this limitation. Do you know what this is? I hold up a vial, vial filled with swirling blue light. Aha! You see? Yes. Then be a good chap and enlighten us with your wisdom, will ya? Breaking his neutral expression, I see Orlia's brows twitching in slight annoyance. It's a magic preservation vial. You don't say. Splendid. Clears everything up perfectly. Press my lips together as I hear the sarcasm in Nazir's chipper voice. It stores a certain type of elemental magic. This one, for example, is water vial. Suitable for Nazir here. Nazir receives the vial instantly, as if expecting it to explode. Just screw it open when we want to use it, I suppose. Yes, it is that convenient. The invention of preservation vials by Harold the Wise is considered one of the most important breakthroughs in the history of alchemy. I thought each vial contains only a small amount of the element. It depends on the size and quality of vial, but in general, yes, you are right. However, even a small amount of the element is enough to satisfy requirements of most alchemic formula. Wonder why I haven't seen one of these nifty things till now. Sounds awfully useful. The High Council has a monopoly on selling preservation vials, which they dole out very sparingly. Furthermore, the manufacture of preservation vials is a difficult and time-consuming process, with only fire magic users being able to make the vials. Why is that? Fire is the power of manifestation, remember? So fire vials ought to be the most common, and also the cheapest. I assume vials of other elements can also be created by fire magic users, also affine to other elements. Your assumption is correct. That means Nazir here may eventually have the ability, if he pays attention to my lessons, to create wind preservation vials. However, it also does not mean that vials of other elemental types are much rarer and more expensive than fire. Lady Rosencruz, you are affine to all 6 elements, are you not? And so the 3 of you are very lucky. I can make vials of whichever element you require. All you need to do is request them from me in advance. For the moment, can the 3 of you please step forward to collect a vial of each element you cannot use? Then let us continue with today's lesson. Oh, this is so much fun. Okay. Classes or mission? Mission. Yeah. Oh, wait. First things first. I'm actually gonna save. Okay. And we're gonna, oh yeah. We are going to start. Mission report. Let me drink something. Mission report. Strange rumors have reached the palace. Farmers residing in outskirts of the capital were shutting themselves inside their house during the day and not doing any work. They only ventured out past midnight, and reports of their activities suggested that they were suffering from advanced stages of hallucinatory delusion. When challenged, these farmers claim that they are looking for their most beautiful goddess. Having no desire to countenance the outbreak of a cult, the Regent dispatched Prince Saren and I with a company of palace guards to investigate the problem. Upon reaching one of the infected villages, we found it eerily silent. The streets were empty and the doors and windows of the houses locked, bared and mothering in dust. Warily, we went up to one of the locked houses and knocked on the door. But the guard captain had to threaten to smash the door down before anyone inside would open it. Beauty success. The young farmer who opened the door seemed suspicious at first. After looking at me, he knelt down and began worshipping me. He claimed that I was an emissary of the goddess, and that my outward beauty proclaimed the inward goodness of my heart. Although it was flattering in some way, I was seriously embarrassed. Common approval. Whoa. I'm just getting all of the things. After examining several villagers, I discovered they had consumed crops infected from a teeny but virulent mushroom that caused romantic hallucinations. I was fortunately able to find the ingredients needed to make the antidote potions in the vicinity. If the farmers remembered to boil the antidote in the middle of their crop field at least 3 hours every day next week, the mushroom infection should soon be eliminated. Noble's approval. Prince Serene was so happy with our work today. He very gently led me by hand to sit next to him at the high table during supper this evening. That's me. It caused quite a stir in the court. For Straw's weekly income hand? Yes! New missions are available. A joy to see you, my dear Lily. A smile tugs at the edge of my mouth, and I turn around with an elaborately formal bow. Trying to get comfy. Good morning, Your Highness. Let me do the honors of skipping straight to my point of inquiry. Have you any plans for the afternoon? As the royal tutor, I was under the impression I am obliged to conduct some royal tutoring. MOMS, and all that, all very fascinating stuff. I'm glad you think so. Rather, I have the idea you thought the opposite, judging by the considerably difficulty I have in keeping you awake during our lessons. Nazir, at the very least, has the grace to look sheepish, but not for long. I say, don't you believe you deserve to have a teensy break from all that tutoring and whatnot? What do you mean? I, for one, am planning to go for a stroll around the kingdom this very afternoon, and the next one as well, and perhaps the one after that. And to the point, I wonder if there is any way I can persuade you into tagging along? If I am not mistaken, you are due for a lesson with me here in this castle this afternoon, and the next one as well, and perhaps the other one after that. Oh, lessons, castles, afternoons, I'm just about stuffed up to the top of the tallest tower with them. Why live in a cage? There is a beautiful world outside these walls of stone. The palace can hardly be called a cage, and it's more like a lap of luxury, perhaps. Even a gilded cage is still a cage, my dear, and I'm absolutely determined to break out of mine this afternoon. Can I not convince you to do the same? You haven't seen much of Ischia aside from the palace, have you? I pause and think. It's true that I haven't really had a chance to see much of the country, being busy with adjusting to court life and the tutoring sessions. And despite my better judgment, my curiosity keeps nagging me to go out and see more. Nazir's grin turns mischievous, knowing very well that I've taken that bait. Let me show you around. The meadows around Spelor are covered in blossoms, both snow white and cornflower blue beneath the azure summer sky. And the Spelor village itself may be small and quaint, but is no less ancient, no less hallowed in the memory of Eskia than this very palace. And its tavern where the mead is sweet and delicious, and its maidens so pretty and friendly, and above all discreet. Nazir's eyes gleam in delight as I see right through his fanciful words to his intentions. So, are you not tempted? Take the chance to slip out of your cage too. Just for this afternoon, of course. What harm could it possibly do? Well, accept or decline. Okay, save. I'm gonna save. I'm not gonna overwrite. I thought about it though. Accept. Charisma. Wait. Load. Etiquette. What do I need more? I already forgot what it was. It was etiquette. Oh, charisma. You know what? Let's just say yes. Or should I? You know what? I'm going to decline. I'm not sure I should. Oh, do loosen up. I'm not sure you should either. You have your duties to attend to, and I am obliged to advise you very strongly against. Thank you for your advice, my dear, which is undoubtedly meant well, but... Wait a second. Is that Raphael? Your Highness? That blighted chap seems to be everywhere nowadays. I swear he's resorted to spying on me. Quick, be a good sport and distract him while I make my getaway. Huh? Nazir slides me a quick smile, before, almost apologetic in its expression, before nudging me ever so slightly with his hand, causing me to stumble forward and bump into someone who was rounding the corner of the hallway at the exact moment. Oof. Sorry. Don't worry about it. I understand. Things happen. Where's the prince? Prince Nazir? I was just talking with... I turn around right in time to see Prince Nazir retreating back, disappearing rapidly up the stairs in the direction of his room. Seems he made a getaway. I hear a long-suffering sigh beside me. Despite how easygoing he may act and sound at times, Prince Nazir has a stubborn streak, a mile wide. Is he going to be alright, going out alone? To be honest, in a sense, I fear for him, lest when he is alone and wandering about in Spelor, then stuck in the palace and constantly under everyone's surveillance. Okay, what do you mean? Raphael turns to me and smiles as if having no intention to answer my question before inclining his head in a bow. Bow? Bow. I'm afraid I have to get back to my duties, Lady Rosa Cruz. I return Raphael's smile uncertainly and nod. As soon as he is on his way, I head back to my study to prepare for the afternoon lessons, my mind churning from this incident. Lily can now take classes to raise charisma. Ooh. Okay. Missions. Probably do more classes. Okay. I'm gonna do. I should probably do combat. Okay, intelligence combat. Combat. And then I'm gonna do wood, wind, experience. Just to, switch it up. 75. Yay! This morning I'm walking along the hallway on my way to class when... this is the worst way to start the day. The servant is cursing out loudly as he's moving several buckets of water up the stairs to the kitchen, I assume. Do those nobles really taste the difference in the water, or why do we have to do this? He must be transporting fresh spring water. I've heard of some aristocrats who only accept the finest of water to be used for their meals. I didn't know those exist in Eskia too. Maybe we can cleanse and enhance fountain water to have the same taste as spring water. That surely would make the life of the servants easier. It would be good for the princess to learn alchemy through practical use as well. Yay! I'm in the right, I'm in the increased pro, okay. New missions are available. A shame about Fop Nazir. Fop? Is he referring to Prince Nazir? And he's calling Prince Nazir by his given name. And that's a question. Although Nazir does let everyone call him by his given name. Absolutely useless, a waste of breath. Then why are we wasting breath on him? Strain, on the other hand. I find myself pressing behind an oversized marble vase, listening on to the clearly private conversation between a group of aristocrats huddling inside the room opposite me. Well, they're loud enough for me to understand every single word without straining my ears. Who, Seren? He's sound, at least. He's polite. That's all you can say for him. Not a single original spark inside that hollow curtain, masquerading as a head. Is that a bad thing? Makes him easier to control. You're onto something there. What about that fellow Aurelius? That bastard, you mean? Oh, come on. Aurelius can be a little disagreeable, but hardly warrants such an insult. He has as many original sparks as you can want and more. A rather strong personality. Very brainy. Let's all be absolutely honest here. He would make a strong king. Yes, and if we are all absolutely honest here, a strong monarch is the last thing any of us wants. Aurelius, if we have Aurelius on the throne, we might as well hand over our estates to him and be done with it. True. Maybe the regency isn't such a bad thing. Shame it can't last forever. Well, call me old-fangled traditionalist, but I prefer someone actually related to the king, administering from the throne. you old-fangled traditionalist, you... The group breaks into raucous laughter that is grating to the ears. No, really, if you think about it, the Lord Regent's blood is as common as they come, from the same sewer the late queen sprang from. From the same sewer? Disregarding their content for the princess to see his mother, does that mean the Lord Regent was a relation of the queen's rather than the king? Did the king not have any brothers, or cousins even? Just what sort of inheritance law governs the succession of Eskia? A decent person, though, the queen. Yes, but common as mud. We can't have everything, my friends. Better a regent than a king. Better a king than anarchy. Is that what you call our days of liberty? Anarchy? Sometimes I wonder if it might not be better for us if our late lamented king had, well, not been born. He unified the realm, stripped of rights, changed our ancient laws and customs, and then just went and died on us. frightfully irresponsible of him. Sometimes I wonder if it might not be better for us if we abolished the monarchy together. Just over 20 years ago, we were free men, sovereign lords of our estates. Now we are subjects to the crown. Subjects to the crown, huh? Who's there? Oops. Seems I accidentally voiced my thoughts out loud. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I was just passing by and couldn't help but overhear. Oh, it's Lazy Rosencruz. You grace our unworthy selves with your otherworldly presence. Please do not allow us to sully your august self a moment longer. We humbly crave your pardon to take our leaves. Sticking their noses straight in the air, the three oyster cats march away, sneering down at me from the corners of their eyes. What was that about? The Lord Regent is the Queen's brother, not the King's, and, in words of the second aristocrat, common as mud. The kingdom was unified less than generations ago, and its current laws are barely older than I am. And the nobility is restive enough to be discussing revolt in open air. It seems I don't know nearly as much about Eskia as I would like to. It's good practice, reading out loud. And I have the nagging feeling I had best start learn sooner rather than later. The question is, from whom? Among the people I've spoken with at any length, I can think of only two who were around at the same time the monarchy was was established. Monarchy. I don't know why I couldn't pronounce it before then. Sala, the mysterious homunculus, and of course Lord Regent himself. Who should I ask? Save. Let's... Sala. Intelligence. The Lord Regent is probably occupied ruling the realm. I decide to search for Sala and pose my questions to her instead. I find Sala standing in front of a window in the hallway, looking at the sunlight-dappled greenery of the garden outside. Hello, Sala. The Lord Regent always keeps himself so busy. I wish he would rest more often. Glancing out the window, I see the Regent surrounded by a band of courtiers. I can't help but compare him to an old lion that was brought to bay by a pack of jackals. Seems like my decision not to bother the overworked forget was the right one. Is there something you would like my help with, Lady Rosencruz? I'd like to ask you a few questions about the founding of the kingdom, if I may. ... I have an idea Sala is surprised by my request, even though her face remains as expressionless and impassive as ever. I'm happy to answer as much as I can. I overheard actually, from some noblemen that the kingdom was founded only 20 years ago. That's right, before the king, Eskia was more of a geographical concept than a political entity. So the aristocracy used to be heads of independent, sovereign states. They were. The great lords waged endless feuding with each other, devastating the land and its people. The small ones were little more than robber barons, plundering each other's villages and caravans. You know so much about these times. It sounds almost like you've lived through them. I haven't, but I'm thankful for it. I was created after the queen died, when the king had already united the realm and brought the aristocracy to its submission. He introduced a new legal system that outlawed private feuds and baronial raids. Then he promoted a civil servants promoted civil service, and regulated the rights and duties of the kingdom's various estates. The king must have been a genius. How did he unite the realm? The aristocrats respect only forces of arms, Lady Rosencruz. Was he one of them? An aristocrat? I don't know. He came alone in Eskia and what voice did I just do for her? Oh my god. And acquired a nope. He came into Eskia and acquired a band of followers. I already forgot what voice I gave her. Peasants and burghers flocked to join his banner because he promised them more rights and an end to the raids between their feudal masters. You can't defeat knights with peasants and burghers. Was it supposed to say burglars? Okay. Need to take a moment. I feel like I have something in my throat. Probably doesn't help that I'm talking so much. Okay. I can't, Lady Rosencruz, but he did. Strange. He first either conquered the lesser nobility or intimidated them into joining him, conscripting their voices into his own. Then he took on the great dukes, taking advantage of their deep-seated hatred of each other to defeat them one by one. By the time they recognized the threat he posed and banded together against him, it was too late. The united army was unable to coordinate, and the kings decisively defeated them in the Battle of West Prim 20 years ago. Finally, he forced them to swear fealty to him on that field of battle, which marked the founding of the kingdom. Impossible. I beg your pardon? The proposition is historically ludicrous. A hero without an established power base appearing out of nowhere, unheard of, and unasked, gaining the support of the common people, defeating the local lords, and making himself king. That sort of thing only happens in fantasies, never in real life. But it did, apparently. Even for a genius, the king's rise to power is a little too meteoric to be credible. There is more behind his success than Salah is either able or willing to tell me. Well, let's leave it at that. What happened after the kingdom was founded? Not every great lord had submitted, and many of the robber barons remained as rapacious as ever. The king had his hands full reducing the rebel spaces, hunting down the unruly nobles until they had all either knelt or been hung. He established the Eskian guards for that purpose and led them on the most dangerous campaigns and expeditions. His wife died around this time, didn't she? Yes, he did not have much time to grieve, even though I know that he mourned her passing deeply. How do you know? I thought you said you were greeted after the queen had passed away. The king is a caring and kind person. He would have been deeply saddened by the loss of the one he loved. I'm sure he was. I haven't gotten the information I was looking for. I cast about for a way to politely end the conversation. Thank you for taking the time to answer my questions. I shall not impose upon you any longer. Good day, Lady Rosencruz. Salah curtsies towards me and returns to the window in the garden. I can see the Lord again, still trying to fend off the ring of noblemen circling him. Grimoire. Oh, alchemy. good because now we can see what I need to go actually put some flavoring in my water, and I'm just gonna talk while I do it. Oh, I'm gonna have some goof juice. This is the caffeine free one because it is 4:40 p.m. and I don't need caffeine. Yeah, I think that'll be enough. I think that will be enough. Goof juice is strawberry kiwi, I believe. And then I'm gonna write down what the requirements are. That's good. Okay. I think the first thing we're gonna be asked to do is what is it? Herb soup. Maybe water? I think that's the first. Oh, wait. Water, darkness. I think he has enough for that. We're gonna need more water. Fire. Darkness. Wood, water, wind. Oh, I think just anyone. Wind, fire. Okay. Let's see. Wood and light. We're gonna still do that. We're not gonna, at least not yet. Combat intelligence. Oh wait, I didn't see mine. Oh yeah. Okay. Charisma, leadership. Let's see. Let's do charisma, leadership. Well, maybe not. Intelligence. Okay. Well, we'll just wait. Oh, sorry, not the right one. Missions. What's this? Okay, wait. Serene, 15, 0, 15. Okay. Wood, wind, water. Okay, wood, wind, water. Oh yeah. We could do this one. I am gonna save though. Okay. I think we can. Yeah, let's start this. Mission report. The discreet inquiries I have made at the palace have borne fruit at last. The quartermaster had found the family of the captain of my escort that night. With the death of the family's main breadwinner, the good captain's wife and their daughters have moved back to the countryside of Splore. Nobody knew how they have been coping since. I decided to pay the bereaved a visit to offer them my condolences and my gratitude. More practically, I also want to find out if there was anything I could do to help the widow and her children. The princess had helped me prepare small gifts, just simple offerings of flowers, food, and the like. I did not want to insult them with a gift of money, for their loss had been much greater than that. However, if such was what they needed, I was prepared to be generous with the salary I am earning as rural tutor. When I presented myself to the front door, a widow was inclined to be standoffish at first. After I managed to convince her of my sincerity and good intentions, she invited me for tea and we had a frank discussion about her family situation. They were currently living on the savings of accumulated in happier days, and the widow was looking for an adequate job to support her children. I had offered to arrange a position for her in the palace's housekeeping staff and for her daughters to enter the Royal Military Orphanage. Normally, it was only open to the orphans of the aristocratic war, but as their father had been a commissioned officer and died on active duty, I would have been able to stretch the point. At last, she rejected my offer. Common approval. At length, she told me she was glad the one her husband died for was such a sensible young person. However, she had no intention of moving back to the capital and wanted to live a simple life with her family. In the end, I could only convince her that I would talk to Prince Nazir and find a suitable occupation for her at Splenor. It wasn't much, but I also made them promise to seek me out if they need arises. Returning to the palace, I sincerely hope they'll be all right. I'm muttering quietly to myself, reviewing the syllabus for today's classes when a voice catches my attention. Could that be Orlius? With whom he is speaking. Careful not to be spotted, I watched Orlius stand next to a large marble bust, engaged in a conversation whilst oblivious to the world. His conversation partner, however, remains half hidden from view behind the bust. Neither of them had noticed me, nor does it seem like they will. Unable to help myself, I peer more closely at the two. Sala? Long hair flashing in sunshine, tipped ears tucked underneath, a gentle expression that calms the soul. There's no mistaking it, the woman is speaking with it, Sala, my personal servant. What business does he have with her? Why are they standing so close together? And is Orlius genuinely smiling? Veil. I wonder what they're talking about. Only one way to find out. I walk up to the pair and utter a polite greeting. Good day. Lady Rosencruz. The duo turns toward me, Sally smiling. Orlius, not so much. What do you want? Snarking at me the moment he sees me. If it was anyone else other than Prince Orlius, I would have deemed this event suspicious. Nothing in particular. What are you two talking about? Please excuse me, Highness. Lady Rosencruz wishes to discuss matters with you, so I will bid my adieu and be out of your way. You're not in the way. Sala merely smiles again and curtsies gracefully in a delicate fashion. She then turns and walks away, leaving me gasping wordlessly after her. Well, I hope you have a good reason for interrupting us. Sorry, I had no idea. I was only wondering why Sala was talking to you. She asks about how I am sometimes. It's nothing out of the ordinary. A servant not assigned to a prince casually asking after his well-being is something out of the ordinary. Said Prince replying to and even being friendly with the servant is even more out of the ordinary. And that Prince being Prince Orlius, out of all people, makes it the most out of the ordinary event I've seen. Needless to say, I keep these thoughts to myself. I don't need to be engaging in another sparring match. So that's why Sala left so quickly. She doesn't want her personal concerns towards the prince to be widely known about the palace. Orlius, on the other hand, doesn't look like he cares much at all. Sala has been working in the palace for as long as I can remember, and she has always been a caring and devoted companion to my brothers and I wonder how old Sala is actually is. She doesn't look much older than Orlius, but from what he said, she must be at least old enough to be his mother. It's amazing how homunculus appears always stay the same, no matter how much time passes. An envious trait indeed. I see. Do you now? Good. Willie straightens his posture with a rapid motion and nods curtly in the direction of the study. Well, shall we be heading to class? Yes. Side by side, we walk down the corridor in silence, not exchanging another word along the entire way there. We're failed. How much? 420. Okay. Well. He needs more fire. Oh, fire. Water. And I need leadership, charisma, etiquette, beauty. You know what? Let's just do that. Sorry, I'm gonna save. No. Okay, now we can do it. Etiquette, light, wood. Okay, light. Oh, no, wood is good. Wood is good. Water. Okay. How much darkness does he have? He needs more darkness. That sounds so weird. That sounds a little weird when I say it out loud. He needs a little more darkness. He doesn't need water. He needs darkness. Okay. Maybe next time I'll do more light for Surin. 75. Whoa. Finding myself unexpectedly having a few moments of free time to myself, I decided to head to the palace library to read up on some research materials. The library is quiet and deserted at this hour. I smile to myself as I wander through its old oaken shelves, breathing in the sweet musky scent of wood and old parchment. As I approach the back of the library, my eyes are caught by the sight of an elegant figure slouched on a chair inside an alcove tucked between two shelves. Prince Serene is reading a formidable-looking tome, his brows creased in a deep frown. As I look, his mouth soundlessly forms a few words as he shakes his head slowly. I take a step toward him, a greeting beginning to form on my lips, but then I draw back again. The prince's attention is wholly devoted to the book, and I would not like to disturb him when he is obviously occupied. His face kind of seems sad. On the other hand, he looks somewhat troubled by what he's reading. As well as his tutor, I do have the obligation to help him if he needs help. I squint at the book, but due to the angle Prince Surin is holding it, I cannot make out either the title or the author. Seems like if I want to find anything out about this, I shall have to ask Surin myself. I clear my throat loudly, gazing in concern at Prince Surin. Lady Rosencruz, my pardon, I have not noticed you. Are you worried about something, Your Highness? Surin looks at me with surprise, although he soon catches himself and smiles at me politely. No, I want to say I am. Why do you ask? You were frowning and muttering to yourself, so I thought you must be troubled by what you were reading. I see. Please do not worry, I was not troubled, merely engrossed. Even as he is speaking, his brows are smoothing back into their usual inscrutably placed lines. I was so engrossed, in fact, that I had not noticed the time flying by. I apologize for having to cut our conversation short, but I need to get back to my regular duties. Certainly, Your Highness, do not let me detain you for a moment further. Thank you for your concern, Lady Rosencruz, but I can assure you I am perfectly fine. He gets up from the chair and makes a polite bow. Please accept my excuses, Lady Rosicruz. Goodbye, Your Highness. Swain tucks the book under his arm and walks away. Before he leaves, I manage to catch a glimpse of the title. Travelogue to Marin? I remember I was wondering why a simple travelogue warranted such concentrated attention from the prince. From the prince and his mysterious book out of my mind, I plunged back into the maze of bookshelves, and returned to my original intention of finding a few books on military strategy to go. Military strategy? She wants to study. Now, where did they put that dreadful Garlet's Guide to Modern Siege Weapons again? I ought to have asked Prince Duran when I had the chance. I struggled to write anything, beyond the assurance of my well-being and hopes that they are, similarly, of sound mind and body. My half-written letters sound contrived. I imagine that great travels naturally bred great stories, but my blank paper mocks the very notion. Since my last letter, the state of Eskia, the princess, and even my own work holds nothing noteworthy, but my last correspondence was eons ago. I fear they will worry for me. I sigh in relief at the knock and set my pen aside, grateful for the distraction. Come in. Good evening, Lady Rosencruz. Raphael steps in, closing the door behind him. A creased frown reveals troubled thoughts before he quickly returns to his unusual, impeccable demeanor. Raphael, what brings you here this evening? He clears his throat delicately. It concerns next week. Have you been informed of the upcoming events? I raise an eyebrow. Only Raphael himself and Saul update me on the weekly happenings, and seeing as the latter has yet to mention anything. No, I'm afraid I haven't heard anything. I thought perhaps Saul had already spoken. The Lord Regent and royal family are departing on a tour of Eskia, a tradition started by the late king. I see. What kind of tour? The king would spend a day or two meeting with his royal lords and commoners, a tradition the Lord Regent and Princess wish to continue. I nod, thinking back to the unfinished letter. Surely a tour of Eskia, in its entirety, and with the princess no less, would offer me enough anecdotes to fill a great many letters. Yet, on the other hand, without the princess to tutor, the day would be mine to do with as I please. I could catch up on work, or maybe even relax. So all three princesses will be leaving? He pauses before releasing a rare sigh and staring with apologetic eyes. Both Prince Serene and Prince Nazir have asked me to extend personal invitations for you to accompany them. But between the two of them, Prince Serene was the one who offered first. I was on my way to you when Prince Nazir spoke of his offer without giving me the proper chance to tell him that his brother had already made one. I cannot read. I smile and raise my hand. He stops mid-sentence, looking abashed. Do not fret, Raphael. I understand and will explain the situation to the princess. Almost imperceptibly, Raphael's stance relaxes. I hope I read that word right. That is appreciated. Though at the risk of complicating things, I fear they have slightly different itineraries. You shall have to decide which one to accompany. He pauses. That said, I would encourage you to go with whomever you choose. I believe the fresh air would do you some good. He looks a bit concerned, and for a moment I feel as if I am being chided for working too hard at avoiding the fine weather. I need to talk slowly and not rush. What of Prince Orleus? I am far from surprised that there was no invitation from him. But Prince Orleus's plans still pique my curiosity nonetheless. Actually, Prince Orleus usually joins the others a bit later. I look to him for further explanation, but when he offers nothing more, I simply shrug. Best not to pry. My thanks, Raphael. He gives a small bow. I'm bowing. Yeah, bow. Thanking me again for taking his leave. Oh, before taking his leave. Let's see. Who should I accompany? Well, we're gonna... Okay. I don't think it's... Okay. I'm just gonna do whatever. Let's just do Prince Rin. Because I want to. Although Prince Rin has proven a model student and a joy to tutor, we still have not had the chance to speak in a less formal setting. This shall be the perfect opportunity to familiarize myself with him and observe him amongst the common people. Turning back to my desk, I complete my responses to the princes, then set them aside. For now, the letter to Father remains half written. I can only hope that the events following these next few weeks change that fate. Okay. Leadership. Maybe leadership. How much intelligence do I have? Okay. Man, I need to go closer. Okay. Where was I? Oh yeah. Daily life. Daily death. Oh yeah, when I said I died 2 times, I only died once. But it gave me status of 2. That was my bad. Oh yeah, I was seeing what should I? Etiquette, intelligence. You know what? We're just gonna go all in. And then I am gonna do. Oh, not that. Light, fire, and then like water, and then switch next day. Sure. Why not? Okay. That's pretty good. That's actually really good. New missions are available. I think the first playthrough I didn't really do any missions. The palace has become increasingly silent in the days preceding the grand tour. The nobles' quarters and pages that normally crowd the pillared halls and marble chambers are all but gone. I imagine they have all returned to their own castles and fiefs, prepping to host the royal family should they choose to make a visit. Raphael explained that the tour was considered a holiday for the maids, cooks, and other palace servants, as almost no one remained to make meals for or tidy up after. Everyone may use it to return to their families, only to join them on the streets of their hamlets and burgs, excited to catch a glimpse of the same royals they otherwise attended to. But perhaps there's some worth in seeing the familiar from a new perspective or with different company. I muse on this as I stroll through the deserted hallways. I am to meet the princess and the rest of our party by the gates at dawn. Saul informed me of this when she woke me up, well before the first rays of sunlight had even climbed over the castle walls. Yet, despite the early hour, I'm excited to head out of the palace. Although I very much doubt we will be leaving on time, at least not if Prince Nazir is accompanying us. I chuckle to myself, imagining the horror of being his chambermaid and tasked with waking him up in the mornings. Well, aren't we up bright and early? The total surprise of hearing Nazir's voice freezes me in place momentarily, so I almost forgot my manners. There he stands clearly, waiting to intercept me. He is beaming at me. Not a dark bag under his eyes, nor a sleepiness to his mood. I smile and give him an exaggerated bow. Your Highness, I hope you permit me some astonishment at seeing you awake so early. He lets out an exasperated sigh and gives me a look as if wronged. But as I meet his eyes, I see absolutely no offense taken. The exasperation then soon shifts to eagerness. I'm glad I managed to catch you. There's someone you need to meet. But the tour, isn't it? I'm afforded no further protest as Nazir hooks an arm around my shoulders and gently steers me down a corridor. I realize we are headed for the wing normally reserved for the various noble houses that stay at court. Some have permanent apartments with their family insignias imprinted on the doors. Right now they are almost universally empty, locked or closed. Their occupants having returned to their holdings. This way. The chamber he leads me to, a small one in the corner, is clearly still occupied, and the door is slightly ajar. I glance at the house sigil and frown, attempting to remember my Perks Perez? A recent rival, House Udes, right? Udes. How knowledgeable, as expected. If I recall correctly, this minor border fiefdom should have been too small to have a presence at court, at least under normal circumstances. However, it appears they have established themselves as ambassadors to the neighboring kingdom of Maren. Why would Prince Nazir desire almost excitedly so for me to meet them? At first, the apartment seems empty, save for a few chambermaids. Then a voice calls out excitedly from the other end of the hall. Nazir, you're back! For a moment, I mistake the voice's owner for a child, if only because of their gentle tone. However, the person who rushes to join us is clearly a young lady. My apologies. She claps her hands together, tilting her head over so slightly. Her big and sparkly eyes regard me curiously, and her youthful cheeks flush. Lady Ishbal of House Udes. Allow me to introduce you to Lily of House Rosencruz. I bow and she curtsies. On closer inspection, I realize she is very nearly our age. My dear Lily is our esteemed royal tutor, and to our great luck, a companion and confidant. Nazir winks at me and I struggle to keep the smile off my face. House Rosencruz. The clan of people capable of using all 6 branches of magic, correct? Yes, which puts me in a very advantageous position with regard to tutoring the princes. That's incredible. Actually, I heard that the Rosencruz always marry their cousins in order to keep the bloodline pure. Is this true? My mouth falls open in surprise at the girl's directness. From the corner of my eye, I notice some of the chambermaids try and linger longer than necessary to eavesdrop. I have faced such questions many times, but never from a lady or lord. Although not necessarily a stupid question, it is one of such impropriety. And at our first meeting, no less. Now that I now understand why I haven't met this young lady in court thus far. My gaze flickers uncomfortably to Desir, who only grins back. I sigh heavily. No, we do not. Anyone who carries the faintest trace of Rosencrew's blood, even from generations many decades apart, can be born with or awakened to our powers. Is that so? Do you have any other suitors then? That is... I flush darkly and Nazir leans forward in earnest, dying to hear the answer. As the silence continues, my lips remain pinched, and with much disappointment, he gives me an obvious pout. Desperate for a change of subject, I blurt the first thing that comes to mind. So, Lady Ishbel, is that a faint accent I detect? Suddenly self-aware, Lady Ishbel flushes and fiddles with her hands when she speaks up again. The accent is absent. Ah, my father, our fifth sits very close to the border. We often entertain ambassadors from Mahren. Mahren? I must have picked it up from them. Intelligent success. That's strange, for it sounded of southern Mahren, which lies quite at... Oh, that's me. That's strange, for it sounded of southern Mahren, which lies quite a distance from the lands of House Udis. Udis? What did I say? Naturally, I'm certain that they get ambassadors from that area as well, but so frequently as to have such an influence? How odd. I seem to have succeeded at making her self-conscious enough to drop the subject. It's difficult, but I managed to hold back a release sighed. House Udis is great at just... I need to take a break once in a while. How are you guys today? Hope you're doing well. Okay. House Oots is so great a distance that, alas, we should be unable to visit. Lucky for us, Lady Ishbal came herself and will remain here for the time being. I see how thoughtful of the prince to still include you in his tour. Lady Ishbal blushes with delight and shares a look with Prince Nazir that I am not entirely sure how to parse. Speaking of inclusion in the tour, look who's up and about. Nazir looks over my shoulder, and when I turn, I spot Prince Orlius walking swiftly down the corridor. He does not seem overly pleased to see us and hesitates for a moment, as if deciding on the means to elude us. Yet, since his only options are to pass or to retrace his steps, he continues forward. After standing on her tiptoes, trying to glance over my shoulder, and failing, Lady Ishbel steps aside and gasps when she sees the prince. Prince Olius, good morning. I slightly frown at the volume of her voice. In the corner of my eye, I notice the chambermaids lingering about once more. The palace's servants are idle today. I should put them to work later. ... Your Highness? I bow my head and Orlius returns it, pointedly avoiding Lady Ishbel's greeting. Rosencruz, brother. Before I can reply, he has already passed us, riding with purpose toward the gardens. Lady Ishbal, looking as if she's been struck by lightning, turns back to us with a dejected frown. Nazir chuckles warmly at her. Was there something wrong with my greeting? Nothing wrong at all, Lady Ishbel. My brother is just, well, a little particular. Don't you agree, Lily? Etiquette. As much as Orlius is indeed particular and disagreeable, the fault was hardly his own this once. But looking at Lady Ishbel's dejected expression, could I bear to tell her? I'm going to save. Let it go. Then again, it is not my place to inform Lady Ishbel of her failings. She doesn't appear to be familiar with even the most basic forms of court etiquette, and I'm not her instructor. I clear my throat, glancing at the light streaming in through the windows. Your Highness, I believe it is time to join Lord Frega and your brother. Nazir stops mid-sentence, looking suddenly apologetic. Oh, yes, he glances at Lady Ishbel, then back at me. You go on ahead, I shall be with you in a moment. Very well. I send a polite bow to them both. Lady Ishbel, it was a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Yes, it's been lovely meeting you as well. I leave the two chatting merrily as I hurry through the courtyard and toward the gates. Inquiring at the entrance, I am told that the party has already assembled outside. I stop for a moment to bask in the beauty of the morning. The sun, barely cresting the walls, is nonetheless warm and welcoming. A lone whinny carries far in the quiet air. I spot the assembled party in the distance by the gates. When I arrive, Prince Seren and the Lord Regent are already in attendance. I take a moment to catch my breath. Your Highness, Lord Regent? I bow at them each in return. I hope you can excuse my tardiness, for passing, I considered informing them of Prince Nazir's distraction, but eventually I decided against it. I'm afraid I slept in late. The Lord Regent smiled indulgently, returning the greeting. Not as late as Nazir, it seems. Did you see him? ... Before I have time to decide whether I should fib or come clean, Prince Seren sensed my worries and swoops in. I'm certain my brother will be here soon. Yes, quite so. With that, the Lord Regent wanders off to confer the day's itinerary with the Lord Marshal, and I find myself in the company of Prince Seren. We are far from alone, as the closest guard stands but a few steps away. Many thanks for the invitation, Your Highness. Prince Seren smiles and shakes his head. Not at all. It pleases me greatly that you agreed to accompany me. A silence falls between us, but the surrounding clamor is not very conducive to frank speech. Stable boys and guards will mill about waiting for the youngest prince to arrive. As always, Prince Seren is an island of calm, content to wait in silence. With his attention firmly fixed on the palace doors, I take a moment to inspect him. He's got blue eyes, blue hair, blue... Those are big. They must be really heavy. But to each their own, I suppose. I like the cape, though. I like capes. Not capes, what are these called? I don't know. It'll come back to me. The morning light gives him a look of uncommon gentleness, and on closer inspection, there is a glow to his cheeks that looks like eagerness. Just the faintest faintest blush highlights the tips of his ears. How curious. A few strands of hair fall from their place to rest upon his cheek, giving me an almost irresistible urge to tuck them away. Then his gaze shifts to fall upon me this time. It is I who blushes. Lady Rosencruz, is something amiss? You have some hair that had fallen loose. I touch my ear and watch as Prince Seren quickly mirrors my movement. He tucks the stray locks away as quickly as I made aware of them. To my surprise, his usually distant demeanor melts away to reveal a young man flustered by his coiffure. Is it fine now? It is perfect, Your Highness. He seems reassured, but still smooths out the hair around his temples and gently touches the pins and bows to assure himself that everything is in place. Thank you. I doubt anyone but me would even have noticed it was but a small thing. I appreciate you keeping an eye on me nonetheless. He smiles, glancing down at his clothes. I trust nothing else is amiss. No wrinkles, no unseemly spots. I chuckle, surprised at the prince's suddenly relaxed attitude. I make a show of checking, but it's obvious that he's otherwise impeccably attired. Not a wrinkle in sight, Your Highness. He nods, shifting to be slightly more serious. I must admit that I was afraid that I myself would be late. Oh? Yes, I had some difficulty getting up this morning. Same. I need to start getting up early. It's kind of hard because I go to sleep at like 5. It's I tilt my head, but see not even a hint of bags beneath his eyes. Skeptical, I raise my eyebrow. Late night, are you secretly more like your younger brother than I thought? I mean it as an innocent jest, but my words strike a nerve that unsettles his eyes. Recovering in a snap, he shakes his head and smiles return. And his smile returns. I read for far too late in my chambers. I nod, of course, but Seren is hardly the type to stay up late. Carousing like Nazir, I have often caught him spending time in the library after all. What reading held your interest so well? Seren smiles, but I can almost sense the brief openness retract. Nonetheless, his reply is both polite and tactful. As a crown prince, I can always learn new things to help my people. Of course. I mumble just then, several heads turn toward the entrance. Prince Nazir appears, accompanied by Lady Ishbal, who is still speaking inanimately. Let's get mounted, we are late enough as it is. The Lord of Regent, despite his gruff demeanor, seems to be in a calmly good mood and exchanges a few pleasantries with Nazir. Lady Rosencruz, may I assist you? Prince Seren has brought my horse while I was distracted and stands next to it, holding the reins tight in his hands. Thank you, Your Highness. With some assistance, I am soon mounted and feel rather pleased with myself. Even if this is all I learned from the prince today, I have gained insight more than all of our lessons combined. At the tour's end, I returned to my chambers exhausted. That whirlwind of a day drained the life out of me, and all the thousands of faces I met are slowly blending into one. The palace quickly returns to life, nobles and their servants slowly stream back to court. By tomorrow, we all shall be back to normal. Despite the late hour, I do not yet feel ready for bed. After setting a few candles alight about the room, I sit at my desk and re-examine my unfinished letter. Taking out my pen, I dip it in ink and begin writing. Dear Father, I have much to tell you and only so much space to do so on this parchment. Okay. I wonder... should we do... Oh, I can't do them anyways. 0-20 fire. Oh. Water? Oh, bomb. I need bomb. Oh, herb soup. Okay. Well, we don't have that, so... Okay, I will be right back because I need to go to the bathroom again. Okay, should I do one more week? Is that showing up? Has it not been showing up this entire time? There we go. Okay. Whoa. Oh, this... Okay. I didn't mean to do that, but we did it. Can I even... Oh, wait. Cannot do that. Herb soup? I thought... Okay, you know what? We're gonna save. I'm gonna save doing that stuff for later. I accidentally did the water. I didn't mean to do that. I guess I can always... Nah, it's fine. Let's do... Okay, what am I? Charisma, leadership. I'm gonna do charisma, leadership, beauty. Let's see if I can remember that. Leadership, charisma, beauty. Now I'm gonna do... It was light and wood. fire, wind, and then darkness. Right? Okay, wood. Yeah. Oh, this is fire. Oh yeah, no, fire and wind. Water and darkness. Okay. I think that's it. Depending on what's this the next week. I hum quietly to myself as I sieve the last package of powdered mandrake root into a flask, and bumbles over to the tripod on the table that serves as my makeshift laboratory. That should complete the recipe for the restorative potion. All I have to do is to sit back and let it simmer for a few minutes. After it's done, I should go for a walk in the palace garden. It's a beautiful day. I sigh contentedly and close my eyes, allowing my face and neck to bask in the mellow sunshine. Usually by this time, the restorative ought to have cooled down enough to be bottled. However, I must have used a little too much heat when making the concoction, because I can still hear the flask shaking on the table. In fact, the shaking is not diminishing in strength. If anything, it is becoming more and more violent. I open my eyes. The soothing cerulean color of the potion is rapidly giving way to an angry red. An angry red that is, furthermore, starting to glow. Before my consciousness fully registers what is going on, I find my body moving on its own volition, born of an instinct drilled into me by countless hours of lectures. With one hand, I knocked over a crate containing rough sand and snap a wind spell, scanning the sand over the floor. With another, I grab a pole on which a tweezer is mounted, clamp the flask tightly, and turning my face away to the wall, hurl. Kaboom! My eardrums feel like they have been shattered by the noise of the blast. But curiously, the explosion does not seem to have caused much heat or light. Cautiously, I turn back to examine the study. The flask exploded in mid-air, shattering the glass into mostly harmless grains of fine dust. The burning liquid that might, in a happier experiment, have been a restorative potion has been sprayed across the room. Most of it fell onto the floor, where it was soaked up by the sand. Not, unfortunately, all. I stick my hands on my hips as I survey the little scorch marks on my study, the walls, and the bookshelves. Could have been much worse. I guess I'll have to buy new shelves. Bother. I wonder what happened. That wasn't the first time I had made a restorative potion. I'm fairly sure I got all the ingredients right. I should have mixed them in the proper steps as well. I kneel down near a gooey patch of sand and gingerly scoop some of the orange-red substance on it up to my face for closer study. It doesn't smell right. It smells kind of like, what's going on? Heavy boots stamp through the door of my study, cutting short the train of my thought. A cohort of heavily armed guardsmen troop into the room. Just by looking at their uniform, I notice it's the council's garrison. Thought I heard something. What is that smell? What the hell happened here? I stand up, inclining my head courteously at their leader. Good afternoon, Captain. I was trying to make a restorative potion when... Great, more useless distractions. I beg your pardon? I don't know about you, Rosencruz, but my time is at least as precious. My polite smile disappears instantly as the garrison's voice spits my name, disregarding the strict I deserve as a council's delegate of equal standing as him, if not higher. We have been tasked to investigate the murder of the king, and the last thing we need is some fool of an alchemist blowing up the castle while we're searching for clues. I carefully observe the man. It's almost 12 moon cycles since part of the council's garrison had been sent to Eskia to search for clues relating to the late king's assassination. And despite them being the faction considered the High Council's most powerful intelligence source, they have been able to find any hints. The parents of me, a council's alchemist of a different faction than theirs, might be putting them on edge. Much more than it should, and he might be not choosing his words carefully. I assure you my time is precious too. The restorative potion. To hell with your restorative potion, the sooner useless leeches like yourself clear out of our way. I am not a useless leech, and I resent the insinuation. Oh, you resent the insinuation, don't you? Insinuation. Hear her, lads, she resents the insinuation, she does. She doesn't think she's a useless leech. She might even believe she has worthwhile things to teach to their highnesses. Oh dear, did we hurt baby's precious little dignity? That elicits a few chuckles from his men. I feel myself coloring. Something feels off. The garrison happens to be carrying out their investigation near my study, at precisely the time when I'm doing alchemy, to create a potion I've made 1,000 times before, which mysteriously went wrong. There are too many coincidences involved in this, and I don't believe in these kinds of coincidences. I know my appointment isn't popular with the garrison, or their backers of the Eskian nobility. I wonder, could it be that I have been sabotaged? Intelligence. Okay. We need to save. Okay, take the blame, voice suspicions, play off the incident. Let us take the blame. Ooh, I'm gonna see what they all give me. Yeah. Intelligence. And okay. Okay. I think the only one that I should do is take the blame. Yeah, okay. Take the blame. Because it's just, we don't get anything for that, I think. Yeah, intelligence plus, okay. Even if sabotage might be a possibility, I haven't the shadow of any proof to voice any accusation. In that case, it would be better not to throw accusations around carelessly and just take the blame for this incident instead. Sighing inwardly, I resign myself to the unpleasant scene I know is going to come next. The core of alchemy lies with experimentation, and we alchemists believe that only through trial and error can knowledge be systemized and obtained. Sounds half right to me. Lots of trials, lots of errors, not much knowledge though. He sniffs, slapping his hands dismissively at the goose-soaked carpet of sand and the scorched shelves on the walls. Each failure contributes to the alchemist's eventual success. I have little doubt your ratio of failures to success is astronomically high, making someone like you the royal tutor, while they would have done better to simply pick any charlatan off the streets. Besides being a certified alchemist, they award certificates for charlatanry now. I'm also skilled in all 6 elements of magic, making me uniquely able to tutor their highnesses in their particular affinities. You'll have far exceeded my expectations if your tutoring doesn't end with the prince's death from your exploding restorative potions before the coronation ceremony. What is going on here? The formidable-looking bulk that is Garion, Marshal of the Kingdom, and the right hand of the late king, strides into the room, scowling blankly. Lord Marshal, my men and I heard an odd noise coming from this room and immediately came to investigate. What did your investigation reveal? Rosen, the royal tutor, told us. I presume the royal tutor is capable of speech. I was making a restorative potion, which exploded. Which exploded? That's right. Anyone dead? Not as far as I can tell. Hurt? Maimed? No, Lord Marshal. The study's still intact, the palace not burned down, as you can see. Well, then what is the problem? He rolls upon the ashen-faced garrison captain in towering fit of rage. Nothing, my Lord Marshal, absolutely nothing at all. Why are you wasting your time on nothing at all? You have a job to do, finding out who killed our king. Have you found out who killed our king? No, Lord Marshal, my men and I. Had better start pulling your weight before the Regency Council considers your commission. Understand? Dismissed, Captain. He gnarls the final word and turns his back on them, dismissing them utterly from his attention. The garrison captain bows obsequiously to his commander and, with a last glare at me, leads his men out of the study. Shame, we were just starting to become friends. I can only keep them off your back for so long. I look at Garion, a little astonished from my limited interactions with the man I know. He is not one for small talk, but this amount of forthrightness is bordering on the verge of rudeness. They're out of your blood, the garrison and the nobility both, and I can't always keep them at bay. I'm grateful for all the effort you made, Lord Marshal. Don't make me thank the Lord again. I may not agree with the council's decision to appoint you as the royal tutor, but my job is to keep peace in the castle, and I intend to do that. My job. A commendable resolution, Lord Marshal. Garion is already walking away as he tosses out the last feuds at me. So don't make my job harder than it already is. Keep out of the garrison's way, understand? I understand. My words are drowned out by the sound of my study door slamming shut. Grime more updated. Okay. I think that is where we're gonna end today. Because my voice is, you know. Okay. I hope you liked it. Please subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.